I've worn a lot of pieces from today's list of outdated designs, and that's exactly why this video matters. Today I'm showing you 10 designs that feel outdated, and here's the bad news: they're still sold in many of our favorite stores. But fashion moved on.
Be good, stay good.
Hello beautiful people, my name is Ellena. A warm welcome back. Today, 10 outdated designs for 2026, not because these pieces are bad, but because their design language belongs to another era. First, tie front cardigans, and let me clarify what I actually mean here. I'm talking about these tie front cardigans, you know, the fitted or cropped ones, with a split in the front and little laces or hooks holding them together. This style had a very specific moment. It was big in the late 2010s and early 2020s, especially paired with high-rise jeans and a simple tank tops underneath. The problem is that today it reads very time-stamped, and this is exactly why it feels dated now. All those ties pull the attention right to the center of the body, and as a result, the whole look ends up feeling a bit childish and slightly try-hard. And in 2026, fashion is moving in a very different direction. We're seeing cleaner lines, more relaxed shapes, knits that feel effortless and much more minimalist in their design, not overly decorative. And if you want something more eye-catching, go with a brighter color, but keep the design minimal, not the other way around. Classic, basic cardigans, whether they are crew neck styles or V-necks, are timeless. They're always in style because the design doesn't try to compete with itself. Now, let's talk about denim culottes or super cropped white jeans. And honestly, I totally get why they existed. I mean, when we were all moving away from skinny jeans, we really needed something like this. They felt like fresh air at that time, different, a bit awkward, a bit wrong, and that was actually the point. And I know some people avoided them exactly because of that, because they visually add this funny, slightly awkward vibe. But honestly, I love that about them. The problem starts when that silhouette is combined with stiff denim. At that point, it feels like an attempt to marry opposites, a playful, quirky shape with a very heavy fabric, and those two just don't really support each other. Now, if you ask me about culottes made of regular fabric like wool, twill, soft cotton, I wouldn't put them on that hyper trendy list, but you can absolutely style them in a few very up-to-date modern outfits. The key moment here is go with a slightly longer length, like these examples I'm showing you. The longer culottes made of regular fabric look very modern nowadays. Or if you like that cropped length, a much more modern alternative is tailored Bermuda pants. They look like tailored pants that were like simply hemmed around the knee area. Straight cut, clean lines, not that A-line shape that's typical for culottes. They feel sharp, intentional, and very current. And yes, I'll link a few good examples down below, so don't forget to check out my description box. But denim culottes, I'd say no. They had their time very clearly, but now that moment is over, and today they just look dated rather than intentional. Next, open back, loose sweaters with crossover straps. These pieces are trying to combine two completely different ideas in one garment. On one hand, you have a relaxed, cozy knit, something that's meant to be like to feel effortless and casual. On the other hand, you have a very literal statement bag with cutouts, ties, and straps all happening at once. And that's where the problem is. In 2026, fashion is much less about throwing many ideas into one piece. When a design tries to be cozy and sexy and decorative and expressive all at the same time, it starts to feel confused. These open bag knits belong to a very specific era when clothes were constantly trying to surprise you. Modern design is more quiet. So these loose sweaters with open bags and crossover straps feel like a design that's trying too hard to explain itself, and when a piece explains itself too loudly, it stops feeling modern. Next, Basque details or peplum details on sweaters and tops. So I'm talking about those neat tops where the waist is fitted and then the fabric flares out at the bottom almost like a mini skirt attached to a sweater. This style is trying to create a feminine X shape, but the way it does, it feels very dated now. Peplum details create this very decorative, almost costume-like effect, and in 2026, that kind of flair just feels heavy and locks the look into a very specific trend moment. Now, here's where I want to be very clear. If you tell me, yes, Ellena, but I love feminine X shape, I'm with you. The X shape itself is not the problem. The difference is where the volume goes. When the waist is defined, but the structure comes from tailoring, shoulders, or sleeves, like in these waist-defined jackets, this silhouette looks modern and sharp. There's still feminine vibes, still shape, but without that skirt-like flare at the bottom. The proportions stay clean and the look feels modern. So the rule here is simple. Waist definition, yes. Decorative flair, no. Next, bubble cardigans, and I don't even think there's one specific name for them, but you know the type. Rounded shape, batwing shoulders, fitted sleeves. This kind of shape belongs to a very specific fashion era when clothing was trying hard to look cute and soft, and fashion has moved away from that kind of literal feminine designs. The same applies to waterfall cardigans. All those waves and drapes and folds around the collar were once seen as elegant, but today they look overly designed. In 2026, we're not impressed by how much fabric manipulation a piece has. Too many forced shapes and curves and movements in one garment make it feel time-stamped, not expressive. Now, if you love long cardigans, I'm with you, length is not the issue here. This is where I say yes. Long cardigans with clean minimalist lines, no extra waves at the collar, no engineered drama. These feel current because they don't try to perform, they're calm, they're confident, they let the outfit breathe, and that's really the difference in 2026. Design that exists versus design that tries to convince you. Next, symbolic patterns. I mean hearts, stars, moons, little motifs like that. When they are repeated all over the piece, almost like wallpaper, and let me be clear, I'm not talking about symbolism itself. Symbols can be beautiful and meaningful and powerful. The issue starts when a symbol has a meaning, but that meaning gets completely stripped away when hearts and stars or similar symbols are repeated over and over until they become just like visual noise. At that point, it's no longer expressive or intentional, it's just a full-on meaningless pattern, and honestly, that's when it starts to age the look, because the piece starts feeling a bit childish, and on an adult wardrobe, it often reads slightly costume-like. In 2026, patterns are much more minimalist, and of course, you can absolutely wear prints if you like. I mean, I love prints. That's honestly my comfort zone. Abstract prints, totally fine. I'm showing you a few great examples so you can clearly see the difference. I love mixing prints too, but this video is not about that, so let's move on. Next, Bib-style statement necklaces. I'm talking about this very specific construction. A thin strap or chain at the back of the neck, and then all the visual weight slowly builds towards the center. Big stones, crystals, mixed materials, everything happening right here. This style was huge in the 2010s, and that's exactly why it has such a strong time stamp. And because of that, it feels very dated today. You immediately recognize the formula. They were everywhere, including my own styling, and fashion has moved away from that kind of obvious statement. Today, statement necklaces feel very different, much cleaner, much more architectural. They are sculptural, like character dance, elegant, not loud. I honestly love these designs so much. There's something almost museum-like about them. That quiet elegance, you know what I mean. Tassels are especially interesting right now. They feel very niche, very intentional, not everywhere, more like a hidden trend for people who notice. And I don't even see them only as necklaces anymore. They work beautiful as bag charms, even as a belt detail, and bangles, of course, bangles. Another accessory trend that might elevate your basics this year. That whole design logic feels so modern today's statement without trying too hard. Now, fake slouchy boots. And by that, I mean boots that are clearly designed to look slouchy but are not actually soft or relaxed. The shaft is stiff, the leather is structured, and the slouch is kind of forced. It's like folded leather was designed to imitate slouch details. This is where style becomes imitation rather than something natural. True slouchy boots work because the material naturally collapses and folds. There's nothing staged about it. But when a boot is engineered to pretend to be slouchy, it shows. In 2026, real style is about effortless design. Pieces are either relaxed because of their construction and materials, or they are clean and structured on purpose. There's no in between. Effortlessness can't be faked. And when a design tries too hard to look casual, it usually ends up looking off. Another one, jersey club blazers. These are blazers made of sweatshirt like fabric, often with contrast hems and buttons and patches, all the visual signs of tailoring, but without any actual structure. They were very popular for a while because they felt like the best of both worlds, comfort and polish. But in 2026, it doesn't feel modern anymore. It's like an attempt to imitate tailoring rather than actually choose it. And fashion today is much more honest. If you want comfort, go fully casual. If you want a blazer, you choose real tailoring, even if it's relaxed. These in-between pieces trying to look formal while behaving like loungewear just don't feel current anymore. And the last one for today, cut-out tops. And I'm talking about these very literal, strategically placed cutouts, hearts, keyholes, little windows right in the middle of the top. This is another design that's very time-stamped. It comes from an era when clothes were constantly trying to create interest by removing fabric rather than designing shape. In 2026, cutouts feel much quieter. If there is an opening, it's integrated into the construction. Like here, you see skin because it's the natural beginning of a scarf detail, and it actually needs to be there for the design to work. Nobody cut this out just for the sake of a cutout. It's not a decorative moment. That's the difference. The opening is a consequence of the design, not the design itself. So these obvious look at the cutout tops, they read more like a trend reference rather than a modern styling choice. And if there's one thing I want you to take from this video, it's this. Do not invest in trends. Invest in your personal style. Trends come and go, that's their job. Style is not about chasing what's new, it's about focusing on your sense of style. Have a beautiful week, my loves, and always remember, style is just a game. Enjoy the process. You know the drill. Follow me here on YouTube. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Check out my description box and see you in the next one. I can see you there. You're still in front of your screen. It means you want to watch another video. My recommendation would be stop making these classic style mistakes. Look instantly more polished and put together. So I was talking about classic styles and the most common mistakes I see everywhere. So I bet you would love this one. Go check out the link.